In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the new Control Line tool in DxO Photolab 5, and we'll be using it to improve this image. If you're already using DxO Photolab, then chances are you will have used the graduated local adjustment at some time. It's a great tool for selecting areas of a scene like this beach and then applying adjustments. But look what happens when I select the same area using the Control Line tool instead. The same adjustments now look so much better. The reason for the improvement is that the graduated selection applies the same adjustment to the entire image. But with the control line, you have an additional layer of control you can use to refine this. By adjusting some areas more than others, it creates a more professional and polished result. Now let's look at how we can edit this shot using control lines. I've already applied my default Photolab adjustments to this image. If you'll want to know more about these, there'll be a link later in the video. To add the first control line to the image, I'll click the Local Adjustment button. I'll also click on the Local Adjustment tab, as I'll need to use some of the features there as I'm editing. Now I can right click on the image with my mouse to open the Local Adjustment Tools palette. This is where I can pick the Control Line tool. With the tool selected, I can click and drag on the image with my mouse to draw the selection. This works just like the graduated filter. It's the same shape and has a graduated area between the points where I click and drag with my mouse. If I click and drag the main pin, it repositions the filter without changing this graduated area. But if I click the small pin, I can then drag to resize the gradient as well as rotate the filter around the main pin. Now notice, there's a small eyedropper icon which is a sampling tool attached to the control line. Each control line has one of these, and it's one of the features that makes the control line such a powerful editing tool. To see what it does, let's turn on the mask view. You can now see the mask with the white areas showing what's being selected by the control line. If I turn off the mask and increase the exposure, you can see how it's affecting those white areas but not the others. Let's turn on the mask again so I can show you what the sampling tool does. When I click and drag the icon with my mouse, I can reposition the sample point on the image. Importantly, I don't need to sample from within the areas selected by the control line. I can sample from anywhere on the image, including the clouds in the sky. Notice how the mask created by the control line changes to reflect the new sample point. Photolab is using the colour and brightness of the image at the sample point to produce the mask for the beach. But the mask isn't only controlled by the sample point, it also uses the chroma and luma sliders in the local adjustment panel. The chroma slider changes how closely colours must match the sample point to be included in the selection. When I move the chroma slider to the left, it reduces the accuracy of the match. In other words, colours don't need to be a close match to now be selected. When I move the slider to the right to a higher value, the accuracy increases. Now colours need to be a close match to the sample point to be in the selection. The luma slider works in the same way, except it controls brightness rather than colour. Moving it to the left reduces the accuracy for a match, so more areas are included in the selection. Moving it to the right makes it more accurate so that less areas match the sample point. Having created a selection, let's increase the exposure, contrast, highlights, and reduce the shadows in the mask control. Then, in the colour group, let's increase the vibrancy. Over in the Local Adjustments panel, let's also rename the mask to be Beach by double-clicking it. This will help with organising the mask when we've created a few of them. If you want to check the effect of an individual mask on the image, click the eye icon over to the right of its name. This toggles the adjustment relating to that mask off and on. To check the effect of all the masks on the image, you would click the switch at the top of the panel. After applying adjustments to a control line, I like to move the sample point around the image. It's surprising how often this can produce results you weren't expecting. Often these are better than your initial choice, and it can give you more ideas for adjustments. If a new sample point works better, I'll then adjust the chroma and luma sliders to see if I can further refine the effect. Now let's look at a common mistake, especially for photographers used to working with older versions of Lightroom. When you want to adjust another area of the image, you can't just add a second control line. For example, let's say we want to add a control line to adjust the sky. I can create this new selection by clicking and dragging over the sky, but I haven't actually selected the sky with this. What's happened is that I've adjusted the mask that I used to select the beach. Photolab has added the new control line to the beach mask, and those same adjustments are now being applied to the sky. There is only one set of adjustments for each mask, even though you can add multiple control lines to create that mask. Importantly, each control line has its own sample point which you can use to refine what's being selected. When I move the sample point for the sky, you can see how it affects the sky but not the beach. Again, when I find a position I like, I'll leave the sample point there. At this point it can be tempting to adjust the chroma and luma sliders again. You can do this, but you must realise they're controlling the mask and not the individual control lines. If I use them to refine the beach selection, the same adjustment is applied to the sky. You may find it works, but if you can't do what you want, you might be better creating a new mask. The way to do this is by clicking the New Mask button at the bottom of the screen. Now we can add a control line to select the right side of the image and use it to emphasise the light in the sky. Let's rename this mask to be Glow. I'll turn on the mask and then position the sample tool on the yellow in the sky for a starting selection. I can then hide the masks so that I can apply my adjustments. Let's try reducing the midtones, shadows and blacks, and increasing the saturation. I'll also try increasing the highlights to produce a feeling of glowing warm light. Now I can move the sample point around to see if anything produces a better effect. After that, I can adjust the chroma and luma sliders to see if they improve the effect. Now to add a third mask to work on the blue sky and its reflection on the left of the image. I can do this with a horizontal control line, selecting the sample point on the blue in the sky. Then I'll turn on the mask to check what's being selected as I move the sample point around. After that, I can adjust the chroma and luma sliders to refine the selection. What I'm trying to do is select the blue areas of the image without affecting the yellow too much. When I'm happy, I can apply my adjustments to reduce the temp slider and increase the vibrancy. This will emphasise the blue in the areas selected. I'll also increase the contrast and reduce the exposure adjustment as it helps to intensify the colour. I like this adjustment, but I'm worried it's affecting the yellow cloud in the sky and the warm reflection on the sand. I can fix this using another of the features of the control line, which is a negative control line. I just need to click the negative icon at the bottom of the screen. Then I can draw over the area I want to protect. The negative control line works just like the regular control lines we've been using, but it removes the area from the mask, preventing it from being adjusted. As with the other control lines, I'll move the sample point to position it on the cloud, sampling that colour. Let's compare the effect with the original image now, and you can see the improvement. To find out more about my default Photolab settings, watch this video next.